Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Roz Rothstein, and I am your last speaker. And as such, I'm going to give you 3 gifts. First, I'm going to shorten my speech. Yay! Second, I'm going to just point you to this, which is in the back in one of the other rooms. I want you to take this home with you, put it near your computer, and use it to teach people about Israel and about some of the things that you've learned about today. My third gift to you is that because I'm shortening my speech, I would like to engage you, offer you an opportunity after having been here all day and heard all of this stuff that is so disturbing. I want to give you an opportunity to use my time and engage a little bit about what ideas you must have sitting there because you're so bright. You're bright enough to come here. You're committed enough to be here. I want you to think while I'm talking, and listen to me, about what ideas you have about using this day to launch something that is new because of Ann Bajewski here and her effort to put us all together. 6 years ago, we started an organization called StandWithUs. I am now the executive director. We didn't think at the beginning of this organization and its work that the United Nations was as problematic as it was. We started the organization because of some media bias, the same as what Andrea just went over, but the media bias in Los Angeles with the Los Angeles Times. And together with Andrea and Camera, we actually presented a document this thick to the Los Angeles Times about some of the issues that we were watching and we were studying. That's not all we did. We also held some demonstrations just to show support for Israel. We encouraged people around the world, around the country, to do the same. And we didn't realize that as our profile grew, that students would find us. And they found us because they thought maybe we could help them. They thought that the issues that were coming up in their classrooms and the syllabus that they were being given that would reflect speakers that would use the United Nations resolutions as justification for their anti-Israel bias, they were contacting us for help. And so we didn't plan on all of this. We didn't plan that we would be helping students around the world, actually. Take the example of Jimmy Carter's book, which has been lovely and so really influential with hearts and minds, even as far away as South Africa. We have students calling us and saying, you know, there's more anti-Semitism on our campus now since the release of Jimmy Carter's book on apartheid than we had before Jimmy Carter's book. So we had to work with students to come up with a campaign for their campus so that they could combat the lies and misinformation that were new because of Jimmy Carter. So UN resolutions and how they play out on the college campus will take a guy like Norman Finkelstein, who just lost his tenure at DePaul University. Yes. Not for nothing, my friends, okay? There was a lot of work behind the scenes. There was a lot of work in front of the scenes, and maybe some of you helped because we had a big campaign against Norman getting his tenure, and I admit it. The man he says he's a child of Holocaust survivors like I am, and he infuriates me because I share that with him, and he goes in this direction, you know, using UN resolutions and anything he can to say Israel is evil. Basically, Israel is evil, and that's how he tells his story. But he will say that because of the U.S.-Israel relationship, there's not more resolutions against Israel. And Walt and Mearsheimer are here now. They've come to town with their new book, The Israel Lobby. How many of you have heard of Walt and Mearsheimer? Okay, a knowledgeable crowd. So you know then that Walt and Mearsheimer, with their Israel Lobby, is influencing hearts and minds on campus. This is now being used as further justification for people to say that Israel and the Jewish lobby are just too strong here in America, and problematic and dangerous. Because after all, and I saw this with my own eyes, because Walt and Mearsheimer came to Los Angeles, where we have our home office. They came there and they said that the U.S.-Israel relationship is the reason for 9/11. But that's not all. The U.S.-Israel relationship is the reason that the United States was dragged into the war with Iraq. And it's the reason for all the Arab terrorism around the world. It's the reason for so much, so much. And by the way, Israel is no longer as important as it was during the Cold War. So why are we giving Israel so much money? So they're working real hard, all these people, to marginalize Israel. So along with the radical leftists and the marriage with the fundamentalist Muslims who are radical, you have this radical leftist and the fundamentalist Muslims, and then you've got, you know, this crazy making at the UN, which you heard enough of today to choke a horse. And you've got it all put together so that the young generation who know absolutely nothing about the United Nations and the way that it works and what a sham, they then look at it idealistically with stars in their eyes. And they think that, well, maybe Israel deserves all of this. Maybe Israel deserves all of this. So what are we going to do? Well, I'll tell you what we do. We just had 200 students in Los Angeles, representing about 150, 160 campuses from all over the United States and Canada, come together in Santa Monica, a very nice hotel. They had a good time. But they learned, we educated them about this, Israel 101, so that they can walk away and educate others, and so that they can run campaigns on their campuses. One of the things that we've learned as we watch students from the other side on campuses, and you know, even anybody from the other side, whether it's boycotts or divestments or sanctions or whatever, one of the things we realize is that sometimes these people don't mean to win. They don't mean to win. It doesn't matter, you see. What matters is the debate. They will come up with a divestment campaign on campus, and it doesn't matter. They know they're not going to win that. They know they're not going to get that university to divest from Israel. But what they do is they create a debate. And so they can say, let me tell you why we should divest from Israel. Here are the reasons. They know they're not going to get it. But then meanwhile, there's this big hoopla around all the terrible, awful things it is, and the resolutions from the United Nations thrown in there, salt and pepper. So it's the campaign itself that creates the debate and gives them an opportunity to educate. That, ladies and gentlemen, I believe to be the answer to all of our problems. Exposure and education, like a drum, a steady drum. And if we don't do this now together, if you walk out of here today and you think the person next to you is going to take care of all this for you, then basically you came here for nothing except a good day and experience to get depressed about the United Nations. If instead we all decide here today that this is the first day of the rest of our lives, and that we use this information to educate the people in our communities, the people in our families, it starts with you, every one of you, that you help to push out a movement of exposure of the United Nations. Here's this one amazing person, really heroic, really. Going at this all the time. And what happens? She puts out this material that is so damning, it's unbelievable. And what do we do with it? What have you done with it? Okay, don't raise your hands because we're all guilty.